and I, on our road trips, tend to have long discussions, and we're not going to make you watch a whole long discussion, but
6 hours.
6 hours of talking about conversations that range everywhere from wrestling to whatever it is. But this one,
music, good music.
Yeah. Does it hold up? That's a little game we play.
Yeah.
But our other conversation recently has been about creative. And we were talking about, Jeff was talking about his graphic design, photography background, and I was kind of just talking about screenwriting background. And we kind of landed in this topic of, we had some friends talking about how their creative process is take the first idea or several ideas that come along, and you explain it better, so I'll let you do it. And then you strip those away and you go for what is the idea?
Yeah, you take your first 3 or 4 ideas and you automatically just rip it as far apart as you possibly can. And because it's the idea that comes to you first. You know, it's the easy way out is what a lot of people say it is.
So you take the easy way out and you say throw that out the window.
Yeah, and you just throw those right out the door. But you break them down first, find out why you think they're bad. You know, and you kind of break through it, and then you go on to the next creative idea, and you keep going. It's basically so that, you know, once you get towards, you're breaking through walls is what you're doing, quote unquote walls. It's the creative process of trying to break through those so that you can keep expanding your ideas and your brainstorming ideas and like how to do things. But from everything that I was taught and has worked for me is that it's very much a school mentality,
right,
when it comes to commercial and stuff like that, because your clients are going to think of quite possibly one of those first 3 or 4 ideas that you've done. You still need to rip them apart completely.
And that was our discussion.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same way you might take a great idea for a script and be like, I have the perfect screenplay, but when you do the outline, that's kind of ripping apart, and then you do the outline again, ripping apart, and then maybe you start the draft, and it starts to shift, and it will form.
Yeah.
But you're constantly looking for plot holes. But that's the same approach you should take for creative elements, is what I'm reading it as.
Yeah, that's what
you look for
our
the plot
discussion
hole.
has been. Yeah.
So it may be the most obvious one because you got to get paid by the client.
It might be the most reasonable one to do for the client that you have.
Right.
But it might not be.
But
so I see the point in breaking through and going on to other creative ideas.
Right.
But you should never disregard the first idea or the second or the third and just completely throw it away, in my opinion.
Right.
You know, 'cause it might be where you go back to.
We were even talking about it with another relationship, and we got presented some creative, and in this creative, the logo, the mark, if you will, the not the text part, but the actual design logo has like really kind of hard 90 degrees and is in an angle that it's very easy to draw some possibly offensive
similarities to some offensive material.
Yes, to some offensive material, like, you know, like historically offensive.
Yes.
Specifically during the 40s, late 40s, or mid to late 40s, and in Europe, and that's what we'll leave it as. The other problem is the colors also align with that. It's, you know, it falls right in play. And then I had my perspective, and I told Jeff about it, and he said, yeah, well, my issue is if you look at the logo even closer, the mark, if you will, if you turn it like 90 degrees, it makes even more of an offensive statement. That's the kind of stuff where that's where I agree with. That's a plot hole.
Yeah.
That's a huge plot hole, and obviously,
especially for the type of company that it is.
Right. So, I don't know. We were just talking about this idea of finding plot holes, and it just inspired an idea and thinking through it. Like, what's the creative process you follow? What is your creative process? Do you go with your first idea and then break it down? Do you have several ideas? You know, it's like when we do a pitch, we don't present the client all the ideas. Like the job we're currently on, and I'll talk about this job, is for a company, a corporate company that never done video. So when we pitched them, we gave them 3 options. The first option was the very traditional craft show, docu-style, slightly creative, conceptual, that's the word used. Slightly conceptual, and we presented that one. It's fairly cheap, and it's simple. Then we presented a second option where I found an example video. We presented this example video. Jeff and I liked the look of it. It still kind of had our style, but we'll make it better. And we presented that one. Then we presented a third, which was way more complex, super conceptual, very high-end, very thoughtful. and they picked the middle one. Well, the middle one happened to be the highest budget, which is good for us and good for them because I think it's a better story.
Yep.
But that was the kind of approach we had to take, is where we put 3 pieces together. We poked holes in them before we presented them to the client. How is it not going to work? And then we'll poke holes again when we go into the edit.
Oh yeah,
that's part of it. And the color.
Yeah, and we will always find holes.
Yeah, there's always going to be one you can't get rid of, but you just hope nobody notices.
And that's the basis of a concept, is when you're poking holes through it, everybody out there is not going to agree with your hole. Breaking down concepts is, you have to be able to break them down at the same time as you're trying to create them. And then you're always trying to break it. But you also have to think about the percentage-wise, I guess, of the majority,
right,
I should say, instead of the percentage, of what the people that are going to be seeing whatever it is you're creating, what their opinion of it will be as well.
And the audience.
Yeah.
Can the audience draw?
The client.
Yeah.
All of it. You got to see who's going to draw what to where. And try to make sure, at least our thing is to make sure it's not overly offensive in some way, shape, or form.
One of the things that I will give YouTube creators major credit for, regardless of what camera they shot on, who cares? I feel like this camera's bouncing like
nobody cares.
It would be, YouTube creators often go out and shoot footage, and then they have to figure out the story. And in the process of doing that, they're figuring out the plot holes. Now it's after the fact.
You're brainstorming basically with the footage you've shot.
Exactly. I think that's a very healthy exercise.
I think it's a very healthy exercise.
For video creators, I think it's probably harder as a graphic designer, but I know most graphic designers I know just draw
they draw. They
create.
have notebooks upon notebooks of drawings.
Right.
One of our friends that doesn't watch this channel, Josh, draws constantly.
Yeah.
Even while he's doing his marketing managing job that he does. Like, he draws all day long. I know he goes through like one of those bigger moleskins of the version that you and I use. The bigger version of those, he goes through probably one of those a week.
Good.
Just draws nonstop. Half of it's calligraphy and fonts and drawing, that side, and then the other is creative drawing. Which, I mean, his go from, client creative oriented to obscure, weird, kind of stuff. But it still keeps him creative, and it's him brainstorming.
Right.
And that's really what it is. I brainstorm, you brainstorm, we brainstorm over creatives. You do scripts. I try to rip apart everything that I see. It's things that you have to do in practice. And honestly, I mean, the first time we started the craft show was for SEO, the YouTube channel. But also at the same time, it was a creative process.
Right.
Can we do 30 days?
Yep.
Yeah. Found out how incredibly difficult it is to do.
It's brutal.
And then our friend Kyle is doing it as well.
Yep.
And it's definitely a creative plus to shoot every day and possibly edit every day.
And
it's on the person.
The only catch is for now is like I don't get hung up on the quality.
No.
I just wanted to get out
part of it, you have to kind of get over being the quality.
Yeah.
Like, you want to put out a good product, but at the same time, if you're doing it every single day, all day long...
Like, this rattling is probably garbage.
Yeah, probably is. But, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's it.
It's the only way to really shoot it right now.
Yeah.
So, you just take...
No, you could rig it with 17 grip arms. It's like, guys, we're driving at 80 miles an hour down the interstate. I'm not going to rig.
No. And I'm not going to stop our trip itinerary to break crap up.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But it's us doing what we need to do.
That's it. All right, that's just some thoughts. That's all.
Just random.
You'll see more.
Down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, maybe there's a montage right here.